Let's be real. There are some questions society tells us not to ask, but deep down, people still want the answers. In a world where everyone wears a mask, how do you know what's real and what's just performance? Especially when it comes to innocence, boundaries, and experience. No, we're not talking about anything explicit, but we're talking about the unspoken signals, those subtle traits and behaviors that may reveal more than words ever could. This isn't about judgment. It's about awareness, because body language and emotional patterns speak volumes, and today, we're decoding it all. Here are 8 psychological and emotional signs that a lady might still be untouched by experience, at least in one deeply personal way. Let's dive in. How body language is naturally reserved. One of the most common indicators is how a woman carries herself. That a lady who hasn't crossed certain intimate thresholds often displays a form of subconscious self-protection. She might avoid prolonged physical contact, like lingering hugs, resting her hand on someone's leg, or playful touches, not out of shyness necessarily, but from unfamiliarity. She's not awkward. She's just careful. Her body is still something sacred to her, and without even realizing it, she guards it like a secret. It's in how she crosses her arms around unfamiliar men, how she maintains space, how even the most casual touch feels like a boundary being tested. And that isn't fear, it's simply a lack of exposure. In fact, if you observe how she navigates public places, like avoiding crowded spaces or minimizing skin-to-skin interaction, it further shows how she protects her comfort zone. She's aware of her physical environment and avoids anything that might make her feel overly vulnerable. She reacts strongly to bold conversations. Have you ever seen someone freeze up when a topic suddenly gets bold, even in casual group conversations? Maybe someone cracks a dirty joke, and she doesn't laugh, just looks down. Maybe she hears others talking about their experiences, and she grows quiet. Uncomfortable. Not judgmental, just disconnected. That's not always just personality. Sometimes, it's unfamiliarity. She hasn't lived those stories. So instead of joining the laughter, she processes in silence. It's not about being a prude, it's about still being on the outside looking in. Her reactions give her away. Watch her in a movie setting. If scenes become overly intimate or suggestive, she might fidget, avoid eye contact, or even leave the room. These aren't rehearsed behaviors, they are raw reactions that reveal how new the territory still is to her. Her curiosity is quiet, but deep. You'll notice she listens closely when certain topics come up, not because she has something to add, but because she's learning. She might ask subtle questions. So, how do people even know when they're ready? Does it hurt the first time? Is it awkward the first time someone sees you like that? She may not even realize she's asking from inexperience. But it shows. Her curiosity is genuine, not performative. She wants to understand before she crosses any emotional or physical line. That curiosity often hides in plain sight. Sometimes, she might over-research certain subjects or quietly observe how others talk about relationships, yet say very little herself. Her silence isn't ignorance. It's a sign she's mentally preparing for something she's never experienced. She holds high standards without even trying. There's something about a woman who hasn't given herself away. She values herself on a deeper level, even if she doesn't frame it that way. She's not easily impressed by fancy dinners or smooth words. She doesn't chase attention. And you can't buy her vulnerability. Why? Because her validation hasn't been tied to physical approval. She doesn't crave the spotlight in that way. She may even come across as hard to get, but in truth, she's simply not looking to give the deepest parts of herself away to someone unworthy. Not yet. She believes relationships are earned, not rushed. She measures someone's intent not by what they say, but by what they are consistent with over time. Emotional stability, patience, and intellectual connection matter more than compliments or attraction. Emotional bonding matters more than anything. This is the clearest sign of all. To her, connection isn't physical, it's spiritual, mental, and emotional. She's not interested in games. That she's not chasing instant chemistry. That she's searching for depth. She asks deep questions. She shares personal dreams. She opens up slowly and expects the same. Because intimacy, to her, isn't about the body, it's about the soul. That's what makes her different. If you try to rush her emotionally, she'll pull away. Not because she's cold, but because she knows that true connection can't be forced. She's not looking for someone who understands her body. She's looking for someone who understands her mind. She feels deeply uncomfortable with intimate compliments. While many women appreciate being told they're beautiful or attractive, a lady who hasn't crossed that line may tense up when someone gets too personal or suggestive. Comments like "you're looking really tempting today" may make her go quiet, laugh nervously, or shift the conversation. Not because she's offended, but because that kind of attention is unfamiliar, maybe even a little overwhelming. She's not cold, she's just never needed that kind of validation to feel valuable. She's used to being appreciated for who she is, not just what she looks like. Compliments that are sincere and respectful might make her blush or smile, but anything with an overt undertone can throw her off balance emotionally. She avoids situations that could lead to physical escalation. She may say no to overnight trips, stay cautious about being alone with someone too long, or avoid certain types of hangouts. Not because she's scared, but because she's intentional. She's wise enough to know her limits, and she protects her energy with care. In a world where people often leap before thinking, this kind of self-discipline is often a hidden sign of inexperience. She creates protective boundaries not only with men but with her environment. Dim lighting, closed doors, or one-on-one time in private spaces makes her anxious, not because she doesn't trust the other person, but because she doesn't want to put herself in situations that challenge her values. She views intimacy as a serious commitment, not just a moment. To her, it's not just about closeness. It's about meaning. If she hasn't experienced physical bonding before, it's likely because she holds it to a very high standard, emotionally, mentally, and sometimes even spiritually. She believes that when she does finally give herself away, it should be to someone who sees her worth fully, not just her body. And that belief, it runs deep. She may have internal promises or personal convictions tied to intimacy. Maybe it's tied to her upbringing. Maybe it's her faith. Maybe it's just her way of honoring herself. Either way, when she finally decides to open up that deeply, it won't be casual. It'll be transformational. Here's the truth. Virginity isn't something you can see. It's not a behavior checklist or a physical test, but emotional patterns, subconscious habits. They whisper truths most people never hear. This video isn't about labeling anyone or defining worth. It's about awareness, because in a fast-moving world where so many are rushing to experience everything, some are still choosing to wait. Not out of fear, not out of shame, but because they understand one thing most people forget. You only get to give yourself away once. And when you value yourself enough to wait, that's not weakness, that's power. If this message spoke to you, hit the like button and subscribe to Encoded Desires, where we uncover the psychology of restraint, the strength of self-control, and the silent truths behind human connection. Because desire begins in the mind, and power starts with knowing who you are.